Oh, we're live. Welcome, everybody. It is Sunday night, March 3rd, 2024. Welcome to In the Batter's Box, Season 9 of In the Batter's Box. Of course, that is the NGSC Sports weekly baseball podcast. I'm your host, Rob Garcia. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. I haven't been voted out. I haven't been fraudulently voted out. No one's come to overthrow the NGSC Sports offices. So far, John, we're safe from what I understand. And speaking of John, again, like I always tell you folks, one of the dearest friends I've ever been blessed with. And on top of that, my right hand in NGSC Sports. Thank God for him. Co-host of In the Batter's Box, Mr. John Doucette. John, Season 9, buddy.
Yeah, Season 9 looks like it's going to be a very interesting one as things have already started happening.
Yes.
All right. And I'm going to do something for you guys out there, not these guys. I don't care about them. I'm gonna talk a little less. I'm going to let John narrate a little more. He didn't know I was going to do that, because if I told him that on the phone, he might have said, "I don't know, Ralph. I don't know if I want to do that." He is going to do that because John is the narrator of the show. That's just the truth. Also, the baseball brains, along with Alejandro. Louis and I sit there and we just watch the. Anyway, of course, from Hawaii, Miami. No. That's a background picture. Chicago. El Padre, Alejandro Vargas. ¿Qué pasa, pai?
Well, I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back with you guys, and it's always fun to be around you guys. I miss you, and it's basically just around the corner. It's going to be an exciting season.
Yeah, and 9 seasons in, and by the way, for those of you that are watching out there, welcome, Season 9. Give me comments, give me thoughts, tell me y'all. Talk about my team, talk about your team. Definitely talk jack about the New York Yankees all you want. I'm cool with that. Speaking of the Yankees, of course, this is our 9th season in the Batter's Box, and his 7th with us. Another one of my first and foremost dear friends. Alejandro, you're a dear friend too. You know, I missed that. I missed that on you. I don't want you to feel
family,
like,
man.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I don't. Yeah. But anyway. And the Yankee man, of course, he knows. I made a confession to him today that I've been giving him a hard time about his Yankees, and I had a change of heart, and I took a turn for the Yankees, and I realized I shouldn't say that to Louis anymore. So off air, I told him the truth, and I'll say it now on air, that I realized that I hate the Yankees 100 times more than I actually did. So that's going to make an interesting season. I don't know, because sometimes I may lose it sometimes on you, Louis. If I do, just please. It's nothing personal. It's my newfound passion for the Yankees. Louis Tanoa. Oh, and by the way, he's also the host of the Enhanced Sports Show, Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. Hurry up, Louis. I'm coming. Louis Tanoa. What do you say, Louis?
Batter up! As I start my 7th year.
That's good, Louis. I like that. Now that was that. You know, of all things to say, Louis. 2 words. You like that, John? I think John liked it.
It was pretty good. Yes, it was pretty good.
So appropriate and right on point. I'm waiting for Louis' little soliloquy or a couple of batter up. Nice.
Yeah.
Louis. Very nice.
I feel well, you're out, but I don't know. I'll say that for later.
That, folks, is officially the first home run of the Major League Baseball and college baseball season on In the Batter's Box. So welcome, everybody. Of course, remember the website. Of course, it's ndscsports.com, where you catch all of your current content. John, we are going now May 31st of this year, blah, blah, blah. Holy crap, John. We're 11 years in, John.
That's right, we are, and it appears that we're getting stronger as we move along here.
It's stronger every year. It's 11 years in, and
we've added a few more things since last year on.
I don't know about him, but I never saw it coming.
No, I didn't either. And there were times when we both thought it wasn't going to last much longer, but we have added some new things, new content things to the site. The PWHL women's hockey is one of the things that we've added, along with
the hockey.
more college baseball and more college basketball. I mean, we've been able to expand the brand a little bit, and it's working.
Thank you, John, for mentioning that. Shout out to Bradley Lewis Walker, who started by covering University of South Florida football. He is now University of South Florida everything: football, baseball, basketball, then women's soccer, softball, baseball, lacrosse. He's just having a good old time, and he's got carte blanche. He was telling me at first, "Well, are you sure that I'll be able to?" I said, "You got your media for the football team. You already reached the mountaintop of the school. Your media for football. Once you're media for football, you ain't gonna have to worry about the other sports."
Tell you what, if you see the South Florida schedule for next year, he's got a pretty good schedule. And that baseball team is also not bad as well. They lost a tough one today to Central Florida, 1-0. Both teams only got 2 hits, but that was a terrific college baseball game that unfortunately South Florida got the short end of.
And before we get to the show, that you mentioned that, John, yeah, because you see the success that the football team had. In college football, you win 1 or 2 games in a season, or you have a run like USF had. I think they won 3 games or 2 games and 4 games in 3 years or something like that. You have a run like that, and you win 1 or 2 games the season before, and you come back to win 4 or 5 games, John, you had a pretty successful season. You won 1 game the year before, 5 games this year. Not bad. Look, they turned around. They had a great season. Made a bowl game, biggest one. Then all of a sudden, it seems to be rubbing off on the baseball, it's rubbing off on the basketball team.
It's certainly rubbing off on the men's basketball team. I mean, I didn't see
25 team
at all. I saw them back in December against Maine, and they got beat by the Black Bears. And I didn't think they were a very good team at that time.
No.
First of the year came, they turned it around in big time fashion to win the American Athletic Conference and to really put themselves in a very strong position to make the NCAA tournament. That came out of nowhere.
Literally nowhere. Congratulations to University of South Florida, and we thank you and Boston College and UMass Lowell. John, who else?
Well, I'll tell you what, there's going to be some history made up here. I mean, UMass Lowell and Merrimack have chances to make the NCAA tournament themselves. Their conference tournaments are going to begin this weekend. So there's a lot of possibilities that are about to potentially unfold here that could really help our brand.
Well, like we always say, all that and more on ngscsports.com, where we never stop. In the batter's box, season 9 gets underway. The Major League Baseball, we of course ended the season at the end of the World Series. Congratulations again to the defending world champion Rangers of Texas as they start the defense of their World Series championship in 2024. A lot of stories going on, a lot of moving parts, off-season trades, free agent signings, free agents that haven't been signed that we'll talk about. We'll talk about the Oakland A's and what's going to happen with the Oakland A's and what are they going to do. All of a sudden, things are shaking up in Vegas. Baltimore has a new ownership group. The Baltimore Orioles, may I start the season remembering all my little slogans and saying, hey, Louis, Baltimore Orioles don't suck.
No, not anymore. It's not the Baltimores that we used to know.
So, John, So, John, as I do my job and start hitting social media, John, kick us off. This is what we need from you, John. Kick us off on a little summary of the Major League Baseball off-season. Just touch, no details. Touch on some stuff that we can discuss with the guys on what happened in the MLB offseason, John.
Well, let's face it, the number one domino that dropped was eventually Shohei Ohtani and his eventual decision to stay on the West Coast and eventually signed just a monster deal with the LA Dodgers and make that team potentially even more formidable than they've been in recent years. It certainly created a bit of a domino effect because it meant that J.D. Martinez didn't have to come back to Los Angeles, and he's one of those free agents that's looking for a new home and is having a very difficult time in finding one. But that was the first domino that fell, and then after that, there were some interesting trades that were made. Chris Sale ended up being traded by the Red Sox to the Atlanta Braves to fortify a rotation that, when it got to the playoffs last year, was rather banged up, and unfortunately had a very difficult time with the Philadelphia Phillies. In fact, the Braves only had the lead twice in that 4-game series in the 36 innings that were played. The Red Sox got Vaughn Grissom back in return, a young player that a lot of people think has some serious upside, but unfortunately he may not make the opening day roster based on an injury that has occurred down in Fort Myers. There have been other moves as well, but certainly the Ohtani one is the one that caught the attention of everybody, and it created, I think, a very interesting financial stratosphere for everybody to now think about, and we'll see. I mean, there are still guys like Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery that are still out there, amazingly enough, and have not been able to find new homes yet. You do wonder why they've been unable to create markets for themselves, especially in Snell's case, having won the Cy Young. You would have thought that there were plenty of suitors that would have come after him. Cody Bellinger tried to create a market for himself. It didn't work for him, so he went back and signed with the Cubs. You do wonder, when the next collective bargaining agreement comes up between the players and owners, if the word collusion is going to be screamed by the players, because it does appear that the owners are trying to trim the market as best they can once the Ohtani signing was done.
So, Alejandro, as I usually say here on this show, because it's like John said, the big news was Shohei, can you see? Ace.
That's
Hey,
incredible.
listen.
Incredible.
How much money?
Incredible
What?
contract. 700 million. And the thing is, like, it's so backloaded. He's only going to get paid $2 million for the next 10 years, and then 68 every year for. I mean, this thing was genius. I shout out to CAA, the talent agency that came up with this idea. I'm pretty sure Ohtani also has something to say about that. It was just incredible. And now you also given some room to the Dodgers to spend some money, like they did with the pitcher, with Yamamoto. And who knows? I mean, they still have room to play around and for the trade deadline and land in whoever they want, especially. But that rotation looks formidable, by the way, and they have so much pitching. That's unbelievable. I think Ohtani is one of those guys that he could afford just to hit for a couple of years and he'll be all right, because they have so much pitching depth in there.
We're talking about a rotation. When it got to that division series against the Arizona Diamondbacks, which was a complete and utter failure as far as the Dodgers were concerned, we're talking about a rotation that had a 20.25 earned run average in that series. Mm-hmm. The Arizona Diamondbacks hit .571 against that pitching staff, which unfortunately at that point was rather banged up. But still, the numbers that they put up in that series against the Dodgers were remarkable. They hit 9 home runs in that series. The Dodgers starting rotation, the 3 guys that pitched for them in that series, only went 4 2/3 innings combined, which is the lowest in the history of postseason baseball in the major leagues. That's how bad it got for them when they got to October. We're talking about a team that won 211 games over the past 2 years, but yet in those 2 postseasons, they've only gone 1-6. And so obviously something had to be done here, and it appears that the Dodgers did it. They got very creative with their financial obligation in making these moves and in giving this team an opportunity, if they need to make other moves down the road that hopefully helps them when they get to the postseason.
Louis.
I got that as my theme song. So,
baby, that's a classic, John. That's a
classic
right there.
74.
Hey, Alejandro don't know shit about that. Listen,
you'd be surprised.
I would be, and I know it would be by you because I have been. Louis, okay, so we've already cleared the air now. You understand how I feel.
Yes.
We're good? Okay.
We're good.
Moving forward. moving forward, I just want to say out and on camera, so that I cover all of us. Any attacks on Louis Tenor in the 2024 season by me, when it comes to the Yankees, number one, is not any reflection of NGSC Sports or John Doucette or even me, the normal me. It's just that piece of me that hates the Yankees so much. So I might bite Louis.
Non-disclosure form.
Yeah, right. I don't mean no trouble
at this point, apparently.
But Louis,
these expressions are those as network.
But Louis, what happened in the Bronx in the off season, buddy?
Oh, you mean Juan Soto coming over here? I like it.
Who?
Juan Soto.
God.
Yep, Juan Soto.
By the way, before you continue, can you not? Are you feeling a little the wheel turn as to why I woke up and I hate the Yankees?
Of course.
It's like I'm like, seriously. I get the news, Louis. Right? I get the news because obviously you had to open up with that, so I knew you would say that first.
Yes.
So I hear the news, guys, right? And I swear to God, John, I promise I won't say it. Okay. But I literally, my wife was like, hey. And she's like, Louis, the guy, you got your friend in the videos and stuff. I said, yeah, I thought you liked him.
Yeah.
Oh, I said, no, but it had nothing to do with that. It's about the Yankees, blah, blah, blah. She said, oh, I don't want to hear about that. So I heard the news and I'm screaming around the house. Louis, I was so pissed. But go ahead, Louis, what happened? I know I have to hear it. Go ahead.
I mean, the Yankees got Juan Soto, from the Dodgers, and I think this is going to be a very interesting year in pinstripes for the Yankees. We got a great acquisition, and I think they're going to be a horrible team in the American League East. They're going to hang right there after having such a disastrous year by our standards last year. Not overly terrible, but pitiful by our standards of the last 25 years. I think this is going to be a bounce back. If Soto can hit those balls out, and of course you got Aaron Judge and all the other lines. So I think it's going to be a very interesting year for us in the Bronx. So
they did give up a very good young pitcher in Michael King that I do think would have been forward in that rotation had he stayed in New York. And I do think that moving over to San Diego, pitching in a bigger ballpark, I think he's going to put up some very good numbers for that Padre team. So they did have to give something up to get something back in return.
That's part of the game. You got to give a little to get a little, sure.
Right. And the question is, did giving up Michael King become too big of a price for them to give up, to have to get another bat into that left-handed bat, no less, into that lineup to make that lineup a bit more balanced on both sides of the plate?
I don't think it's gonna be a big loss. I think we have pretty good in this trade. And if Saga can stay in this game, I think the Yankees will have made the right move. I mean, we do have to get a pitcher, but we have to give up somebody to get somebody just as good.
I think they gave up a lot.
This is going to be
not only Michael King, but they also gave up the top pitching prospect.
That's right.
And besides that, they gave up like half of a rotation and Higashioka as well. For a guy that the way he's projected is he's gonna test the free agency. That's crazy. Right. But when I look at Soto, I think he fits perfect in New York. I mean, the park, the protection. Now you have Aaron Judge, and they're not knocking anything about Manny Machado or Sander Bogarts, but they not Aaron Judge offensively. It's just the Dominican market in New York too. I mean, you probably gonna have a lot of fans in the seats. So I mean, it works out. I mean, it's a bit, kind of a bittersweet thing because he's going to test the free agent market.
I was going to say, is this just a 1-year deal here?
Right.
That's why I say that they loosen too much.
Okay, so I'm gonna come up with a couple of things here. I may not have caught everything. So if John mentioned it, I'm not repeating, like he missed it, but. Let's go in depth right here. So the Baltimore Orioles, of course, one of the jokes of baseball for so long that there are millions of baseball fans in their 40s, 50s, 60s, Baltimore Oriole fans. I'm sorry, excuse me. I meant teens and 20, who really don't know what winning baseball is in Baltimore. You might get a season or two sprinkled here and there, but just for general purposes, it sucked. So, baseball. All of a sudden, the Baltimore Orioles, what happened? Baseball draft brings quality. If you do it right, and even most of the time you do it right, and you still don't get it.
There.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and listen, some teams have done it right as far as the picks, and then the picks didn't, because it isn't. Remember, people, in a draft, unless you get a once in a lifetime generational player,
Right.
the Major League Baseball draft it has many rounds for a reason. You
Oh,
gotta
I have something for John about this.
Okay, you got to pick a slew of guys that make a team so they can come up together and blah, blah, blah. So the Baltimore Orioles did that. And after a 101 win season last year, they showed offense, the type of offense that they have. The one thing, and some pitching, but not. So I'm going to go to you, Alejandro, so that you can touch on this and then get to John, or you can get to John first and then do this. But did the Baltimore Orioles, they've been in need of an ace.
They got it in Corbin Burns.
Did they get their ace, Alejandro?
Yeah, Corbin Burns. You saw, his first couple of starts in the spring, it was like lights out. I think he anchors that rotation very well. Too bad Cal Bradish is kind of banged up, but hopefully he could return this season. His elbow injuries are kind of iffy, but if he could return and at least give him some innings. John Means, remember, is back. He's a guy that's going to anchor that rotation too. Grayson Rodriguez, I think Grayson Rodriguez is a player to keep an eye on. This kid is filthy as he gets. His slider moves, his two-seamer moves, everything moves. And everything is hard. Everything coming at you like a rocket. So you got something going there in Baltimore, especially the pitching angle here. Also, the hitters with Jackson Holiday. I want to see the kid. I don't know if it's kind of too early for him to be in the majors, but there's some insiders and there's some experts that they think that the kid could play Major League. Who knows?
Yeah, but how do you think Osteka was dad?
Yeah.
He's only 18 years old, so that's going to be crazy.
But I do think Felix Bautista back in the back end of that rotation, which they lost last year, they were never able to find.
But I think
take that spot. Getting him back and solidifying the back end of that rotation in that is going to be a very significant key to them being able to even come close to repeating what they did last year.
Oh, I think they could repeat and they could be better actually, because they still have tremendous resources. They have an overflow of prospects that they could swing any deal they want.
And that comes into play with the new ownership group that has now taken over this ball club, which includes Cal Ripken and what this new ownership group is willing to do and willing to spend to provide the Orioles with an opportunity to continue being what they've been. The new ownership group, they've got a responsibility here to keep this ship running the way it's been running, and it'll be interesting to see to go ahead and do what they need to do.
Yeah. Hey, John. Speaking of pitching,
this is the next prospect here.
That's the next prospect right there. Speaking of pitching, John, we know that the Boston Red Sox. We've been talking about them. We started, a few years back after they won the World Series, and they started breaking the team apart. You explained it very well how that's the way it works, and da. So they've been working their way back, and but one of the things that the Red Sox needed was some pitching depth, and it looks like in the offseason maybe they addressed some or all of that issue.
Maybe not. I mean, again, there are still some quality pitchers out there that they can still go after based on their
Yeah.
financial situation, which happens to be pretty good. There's been talk that Jordan Montgomery and the Red Sox have been discussing the possibility of a deal, which I think would really solidify that rotation significantly if that eventually
Exactly.
happened. It's going to be a young team. I mean, the prospects that have been coming through the system are putting themselves in position to be considered for opening day roster. And so this could end up being one of the youngest teams that the Red Sox have had in quite some time. Is it a contending team? The way it's built right now, probably not. But if you added Jordan Montgomery to it, then you could be talking about a potential a wild card appearance for this team. Again, Craig Breslow came in to replace Hiram Bloom to run the baseball operation, and he's been continuing to try and get this team as young as it possibly can to have control of this team for a few years and help keep the financial aspect of running this team under control.
They added Lucas Giolito. I think Giolito is a guy that has the stuff. It's just a matter of kind of retweaking his delivery and things like that. I think under the Andrew Bailey is a stand-in pitching coach for what I gathered this spring. Like he's been working with a lot of guys, and if we could kind of reshape Lucas Giolito, you might be looking at something there. I mean, remember also, I think the Tampa Bay Rays got weaker, and you never know with Toronto, so they have that division is kind of crazy there.
It is, and it's not as top heavy as it once was, and I think that does make it rather interesting. I mean, the Rays, look, they've got their own issues with
yes.
with a ballpark that they're trying to build, with a player
the shortstop,
and what to do with all that money that they've apparently saved from that unfortunate situation. What they can do, and in the Blue Jays case, it's
Wander Franco.
Yeah, Wander Franco is going to be hanging over them until it eventually comes to some sort of a conclusion, one way or the other, because of all the money that
like $291 million
comes free here. And in the Blue Jays case, it is about Bichette, it is about Guerrero, it's about keeping these guys happy so that when they become free agents for the very first time, they don't think about leaving. And I think for the Blue Jays, the window of opportunities we've talked about many times is starting to close for that team, and they've got to figure out how to keep these guys so that they stay there.
Yeah, that's the tricky area of all of this. The offseason the offseason also brings us
MLB free agents.
Yeah,
there's a common denominator there.
Yeah, free agent signings, but of course, once free agency opens up, it starts to happen. Just like that, and then it slows down, and eventually, basically comes to a stop, and you are left with the unsigned MLB free agents. John, why don't you lead us off here on the MLB unsigned free agents?
Look, it starts with Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery. We're talking about two guys that had significant seasons last year that have not been signed by anybody. They've been unable to create a market to get themselves signed. In Snell's case, we're talking about the reigning National League Cy Young winner who is still sitting at home trying to figure out where he's going to end up. Like I said, in Montgomery's case, he's talked with the Red Sox about a possibility of a deal. Who knows if he's talked with any other teams about this. But collusion is an interesting word here. And the Players Association is going to start throwing this out there based on how many of these guys are still available and based on the eventual numbers that these guys will sign for at some point down the road. Cody Bellinger tried to create a
Barr's guy.
That didn't work. And so he ends up signing a one-year deal again with the Cubs after he tried to create another multi-year big money contract for himself. And the owners just said no. Somehow, some way, this has got to be figured out so that those that become free agents don't have to wait until spring training arrives or even almost halfway through spring training before they finally get signed by somebody. Why the San Diego Padres are not interested in bringing Blake Snell back does
Yeah,
Nah,
yeah. Hey, Louis, Blake Snell, Louis, Blake Snell. That's a big name to be sitting out there.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that myself. I mean, what do you wait for? Want to come over to our side? No, I guess not.
Yeah.
You know,
I
you
heard he
know,
wanted a lot of money in a lot of years,
yeah.
and
Well,
people are
everybody
like
wants a
he's
lot of money.
It wants a lot of money, though,
but
guys. I mean, come on.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, in Snell's
That's a big
case, I
name.
mean, he's been fairly inconsistent. Like, I mean, he had two Cy
That's true.
Youngs,
Yeah,
right?
he
But
has.
like the in betweens of the two Cy Youngs, the seasons in between, they don't look like ace material. Also, his whip is
Right.
pretty high. He walks a lot of people. He doesn't go too
Yeah,
deep. I mean, not knocking. I mean, I wish. I mean, Snell's in any team. I mean, he'll make it a winner. But I think he was asking for somewhere close to like 300 million in 10 years,
yeah, that's a
and
little.
or
That's a little steep.
264.
Yeah.
All
And
right,
that's not gonna
okay,
happen.
okay. But John, he's not going to price himself out of the market. He knows eventually
Oh, he
he's got to
did.
have.
He did price himself out. That's the whole point here.
Yeah,
He did price himself out, and I think
Okay, so wait a minute. You're telling
264.
me
He
that
was asking.
you're telling me Blake Snell isn't signed just because he priced himself out?
He priced himself out.
and that's exactly what he did. He priced himself out of a possibility of being signed by somebody. He didn't create the market that he thought he could create based on what he did last year for a team that certainly underachieved.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it was just me. I mean, I haven't kept up with the news like I should, but how stupid can you be? You want to play. I mean, I understand you ask for money, but you keep yourself. Well, somebody's going to sign him.
He was asking
Well,
like for 264, or somewhere around 300. And teams were not offering that. I think the Yankees got a good offer on the table for him. It was like 160 something million, and that's about it. He hasn't. Nobody's biting anything that Boris has with Snell.
And I do find it interesting that a lot of these guys that are unsigned free agents are Boris clients. And so
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
means that Major League Baseball owners have finally decided that Scott Boras is not the guy that's going to run the financial aspect of this league. That they've all finally decided that they're going to do what they can to, frankly, trim the percentage away from him.
Is something afoot? Is something afoot? I mean, is that a coincidence?
The way Boris actually interact about that. I mean, there was an article saying that every major league team has money, but they've been stingy. Something and that level of conversation went on in there. Why are you doing that? You a smart man.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
you shouldn't like just be, take the team for a drink or something. You don't just say something like that and expect good retaliation. Expect like good feedback from the team.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the way. Hey, by the way, guys, Zach Greinke,
Tired?
John. I mean, what about Zach? I mean, anybody going to sign
He wants to pitch one more season.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah.
Because I'm wondering why, Zach. You did everything that you could do. It's over. It's done. It's like
He's a Hall of Famer,
you think
in
so?
my opinion. He got 3,000 Ks.
Yeah, he's got significant numbers, no question. He's got a World Series.
Yeah, he's under the radar.
I just think that Zach Greinke at this point is probably a middle reliever, maybe a fifth starter. Not somebody that's going to give you an awful lot of innings just on a regular basis, but is a guy that if you had him with a young staff, could provide the kind of knowledge and insight on how to be a major league pitcher that could become rather valuable to whatever team is interested in using him in that role. But I think that if he's trying to make the point that he can still win 10, 12, 15 games, I think that's a point that's gone by the wayside.
Hey, I remember another name that you used to hear, and it was a guy that had a good little run right there. Dallas Keuchel. Looks like he's
Oh, yeah.
looks like Look like he's still at home reading the newspaper in the morning.
Oh, he's
And
probably
will,
pitching in Mexico.
for a little while now. I think he's another one that, unfortunately, the window of opportunity has probably closed on him. There may be somebody that picks him up and puts him on a AAA roster and see if there's something left in him. But I think that for Dallas Keuchel, it's going to be very difficult to find somebody that's going to be interested in him.
You got the Cy Young looking for work, man, and you guys mentioning Dallas Keuchel.
Oh, hey guys, I got a gift. I got a gift for all of you.
There you go.
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah, nice set of teeth.
Sonrisa Colgate.
Ah,
Interesting gift.
Yeah.
Yes.
I finally got it done.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you're into. Now you really know that you're in another phase of your life when you wake up in the morning, coming.
Yeah, really. That's true.
It's a new world.
Yes.
John, I want to throw this guy your way. You know, another guy had a great run getting off the pitcher. Another guy who had a great run, and up your way. You enjoyed some time with him. JD Martinez, still unsigned.
Still unsigned, and I think, again, we're talking about a one-dimensional player that needs to find a team that's looking for a DH, and he has not been able to find that team yet. He had a great first half of the season for the Dodgers last year, but unfortunately in the second half of the season, it faded, and it really faded for him in the division series. I mean, he and Mookie Betts combined to go 1 for 21 in that series against the Diamondbacks, and unfortunately, I think that there are plenty of teams that believe that his marketability is nowhere near what it once was.
Wow. Yeah. It's just amazing when you see that. Everybody's time comes, and I'm picking some of these names I see because, it's like some of them, of course.
In JD Martinez's case, I'm sure that he was watching the Ohtani Dodger conversation because he knew what was going to happen if Ohtani got signed by the Dodgers. It was going to mean that they were not going to be interested in him anymore, and that's pretty much what happened. And so he was certainly a very interested spectator to that particular part of the free agent signing period.
Or maybe not.
Maybe not. And I think in JD's case, having a plan B, I think, was something that was a requirement that it appears that he did not set up.
No, or it has, or at least it hasn't happened. That's
right.
For damn sure. Alejandro, you remember this guy, Jackie Bradley Jr.
He retired.
Did he retire? Did he finally retire?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Just a terrific defensive outfielder that unfortunately his bat was not good enough to keep him in the majors for a significant period of time. But there's no question that guy could cover ground in the outfield with the best.
Oh boy, he sure could. Oh yeah, on his best days, this guy was a vacuum cleaner out there, boy. He was, yes sir. He was fun to watch. Evan Longoria, he's not going home?
Retire as well.
Yeah, I would go home. Yeah, that was a great run. No question.
Talking about retirement, John. How about the situation with Steven Strasburg?
And look, Strasburg's not going to retire until that contract comes to an end. He's not going to do it, and he's going to force the Washington Nationals to continue to pay him and to continue to keep him on at least the 40-man roster because he wants that contract paid out the way it was set up. And it's unfortunate because the Nationals are really in a situation where they need to get rid of that contract to be able to move forward, and they can't.
But the weird thing about that, John, is like they agree.
I know.
They agree to pay him the remainder of that contract, and now they backing up and saying that it's all an insurance thing, and now they saying like, okay, no, you're gonna have to be part of the team and some aspect like a coach or something. Why you do that? Let that guy go.
Well, because they don't want to pay it in a lump sum.
Or don't promise. I mean, whenever you retire, you leave the money on the table. Don't say that you're going to pay him, and now you're not.
And then not.
No.
I mean, right, Louis?
First of all, he wasn't going to leave that money on the table. I mean, he was going to figure out a way to get it. And I think that's what the Nationals feared, was that he was going to figure out a way to get it and get it in a lump sum. And they were not willing to do that with him. And so they've decided to do it this way, which I think just prolongs the process of that team being, unfortunately, one that's not going to contend in a division that is now being run by the Phillies and Braves. And if the Mets ever get their act together again, who knows? It could end up being a 3-team race. But as far as the Nationals are concerned, as long as that contract is on the books, it's going to make it that much more difficult for them to become a contender.
Wow. Money, Louis. Money, Louis.
It's all about, well, I should say 9 times out of 10 it's about money. It isn't always about money, but most of the time it really is. Always looking for the most lucrative offer.
But he's satisfied. You need
that was just a bad decision all the way around by an organization. Just thought that.
Yeah.
Didn't know better.
And the weird thing is they didn't pay insurance on him. The same deal as DeGrom.
That's the worst part of the decision all the way around, is that there was insurance associated with this.
What was that, Louis?
You gotta have the insurance.
The insurance policy to take care of it.
Yeah, you need that. Suppose he gets seriously injured, then he has an insurance, then you're sunk.
Well, he's already seriously hurt, so
that's why you need the insurance.
Hmm.
The weird thing is, like, insurance can compensate with a certain percentage of the player's salary. Now you don't even have that. You were just throwing money away because he hasn't pitched in 2 years.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
He's not going to pitch.
No.
So you're going to continue to throw money away until that contract expires, and it's going to leave you with a mess of a team and a mess of an organization that, unfortunately, it's going to take a long time to rebuild.
Well, and in their case, I love the offense of the Washington Nationals. I think they have some young guns there. Dylan Cruz, Woods, Robert Hassel, Lane Thomas.
How long is Dylan Cruz going to stay at the minor league level? I think the Nationals keep him there for as long as they can, because, again,
and who's going to be the odd man out there? It's going to be Lane Thomas. It's a guy that could command a good players in return. With the year he had last year, I mean, the guy is super decent in the outfield. He can hit. So it's going to be interesting, because I think that's the future here. Like, you have Woods, Cruz, and Robo Hassel Jr. The third.
Right.
And I like the infield. I like Nasim Nunez. I like C.J. Abrams. He turned out to be a great leader now, a young kid that has a heart for the game. So let's see, man. I like it, but now they stuck with this contract that they cannot spend on pitching, and they don't have that great of a pitching,
staff to begin with.
In the system. They don't have anything in the system. I mean, besides Mackenzie Gore and Josiah Gray, I think. I mean, everything else is kind of iffy.
There's no question they're in a tough position, and how they find a way out of it becomes a very significant key to this team getting better.
Another thing, they're trying to get rid of Patrick Corbin for the last 5 years, and nobody's taking this guy. Yeah.
It's unfortunate that the Nationals are really in the position they're in, but unfortunately they created it.
Yeah, they created it. Kind of erratic.
Meanwhile, Paul Skeens is throwing exhibition games and already throwing 100 miles an hour at Major League.
My boy.
And certainly demonstrating that his stay at the minor league level is going to be rather short too.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I think I don't know. I like to see him in the majors from the opening day. I like to see him as the opening day starter for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I'm sure
how confident I am in the kid.
See that too, but I'm not sure the Pirate organization wants to go that route.
Oh, I know. They're trying to be stingy as they can, but what are you gonna do? I mean, you still have to compete.
I agree.
Also, John, I wanted to talk to you about this lottery draft. What the hell was that?
I don't know.
Now you got Cleveland. Cleveland got the first pick.
And what this is, but it appears to be Major League Baseball's newest way to, I guess, create.
Man, I was jumping a joy that St. Louis sucked that back because I thought we are gonna get a top 5 pick.
Mhm.
Now we jump all the way to like I don't know 12 or something like that. Maybe something falls into the lap of the St. Louis Cardinals, but come on, man.
I know.
First time that they suck this bad, and you
I don't understand the concept.
That's the back of the line.
No, I was trying to wrap my mind around it. Yeah, I can see that.
I don't understand the concept. It seems like the previous concept made more sense, and everybody kind of knew what was going on here.
You could have 10 teams, you could have 8 teams, you could have 5 teams,
right?
But don't include 15 teams into the mix, and you're just killing everything, man. Especially now, people that they sucked on purpose, they can't even get a pick.
Mm-hmm. You have good teams that maybe don't necessarily need the pick right away, but all of a sudden, not only are they a good team, they need a playoff run, but guess what? They're going to get the bonus of a very good pick that unfortunately will make them even better and create that non-competitive balance that was, I guess, what Major League Baseball is not striving for anymore.
All right, gentlemen. So there is a new ownership group in Baltimore, John?
Yeah, there is, and it involves Cal Ripken Jr. He's a part of it. I guess the old regime decided that once the Orioles became a 100-win team and made the playoffs, that it was time to get out.
Hell of a time to sell.
Yeah, really, it was time to get out, and so they did. And this
they didn't like that water spray in the.
I guess they didn't like it at all. Apparently. So ownership group in Baltimore, and look, they're going to have the responsibility of trying to keep this team together for as long as they can because of all the young players, the control that they'll have with these players. But eventually, free agency is going to be something that this group's going to have to be ready for from a financial point of view. We'll see if they are, but at least in the meantime, they're going to reap the benefits of a organization that did a tremendous job in drafting and player development.
Well, look, we've seen what the Orioles have been able to build these last years. It's been fun to watch, but it's just starting. We've seen, let's go back in recent memory, the Kansas City Royals. You remember a Kansas City Royals team? Didn't they beat my New York Mets in the World Series?
But that didn't last very long, and I think that's the difference here. It looks like what Baltimore has created has a chance to last for 5, 6, maybe even 7 years.
Right. No,
it's a different market.
Right. But the point I was actually going to make was, here they are, they built it. Now you want to see if they can, like you just said, the main thing is now you have to sustain it. We've seen different versions of teams that look like they could become, a powerhouse here for a couple of years, and it didn't work out. So hopefully none of these pitfalls and injuries. Remember injuries.
I've always said, I think the business model that the Baltimore Orioles created is the business model that other franchises need to look at and see if they can't fit into their financial setup.
Hey, Louis.
It's a carbon copy of Houston Astros.
Yeah.
What they did. Yeah. I mean, he's the same, basically the same guy.
Yeah.
Mike Elias worked for Jeff Luna when they built up the Houston Astros, and they both worked for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Mike learned very well.
They use a different approach.
Yeah, Mike learned very well. Louis, your thoughts? Baltimore has a new ownership group, and remember, they don't suck, Louis.
They don't suck, and maybe with this new ownership group, they'll even do even better than that. Over the past couple of years, from going from 40-win season to 101 season and more, this new ownership group brings a whole new area to Baltimore.
Here's what I think is going to become very interesting here. Because they won 101 games last year, we're not talking about a significant draft pick that they're going to be able to get their hands on. Right. This time, they're really going to have to work at it to create a draft that is in the level of what they've already done. So let's see how good these scouts are. Let's see how good this player development organization is to be able to find the diamonds in the rough from where they're going to draft this time to see if they can continue what they've been doing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, John. I was thinking of it along the lines of it's easy. Let me see. A scout's job looks easy when you get the number one pick every
Right.
year or the number 2 or number 3 pick. It makes you look like, no, not really. You're getting these picks. Now let's see what the Baltimore Orioles can do and their scouting team can do. Now that they're going to start picking like a normal winning baseball team, because the days of picking 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 5, those days are over with.
Forget that.
When Mike Elias took over the Baltimore Orioles, they had one person working in data analytics, and now they have a full department. He switched everything from the baseball operation point of view. A lot of new smart people. They probably gonna get penalized for winning so much, and maybe in the draft they're not gonna get their hands on good stuff. But the Dodgers, they've been doing great scouting forever.
And this is what we're going to find out about the Orioles. Can they scout the same way? Can they continue to do what they need to do to keep this thing together? And if they can, then fine. They're going to continue to be a very good team for a long time. But if the scouting department all of a sudden makes a couple of mistakes based on where they're drafting in each round, then you're talking a different story here.
Yeah, because now talent at number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, talent is no longer coming to you. Now you have to go find it.
To go get it.
Now you gotta find it. That's where the scouting comes in, and you find out how good your scouts are. Now, show me how you pick late in the first. Show me how you pick late in the second, third. Show me how you make those picks, and let's see what you get. That tells a lot.
But the surplus of talent that they have, they have the ability to renew it. I have a guy stuck in AAA, Kobe Mayo, which is the third baseman for. They're not going to use Kobe Mayo with Westberg and Jackson Holiday and Gunnar Henderson. What do? You flip him and you get 2 18-year-old kids that have high upside. They could do that. They have the ability to do that. I mean, Baltimore has tons of talent. I mean, they have guys that they have a kid in Connor Norby, outstanding second baseman. Now he's stuck in AAA. What do you do with that? Like they have to start circulating, either for new talent, for young talent, or for established talent to reinforce the big guns.
Now, second part here. John, I called John somewhere near an hour before the show. And I saw his little agenda. It's, will the A's be leaving Oakland? So I said, I don't drink, but I feel like I've been drinking, because didn't they already leave Oakland? But John, you uncovered or told me about something else.
Well, when last we did this show, it looked like a done deal that the Oakland A's were going to Las Vegas, that the stadium was about to be finalized, and they were going to begin the process of building it. And consequently, the A's would go back to Oakland, and they would finish out the lease at O.com Stadium, and then begin to move the operation to Las Vegas. But now it appears that some snags have apparently materialized. That has led the mayor of Las Vegas to suggest to the Oakland A's that maybe it'd be a good idea to stay where you are and don't come here.
What the hell?
There was a minor league team, an independent minor league team, that was interested in taking O.com Stadium over once the A's left. And
Yes.
But that team has since been told to go away, and they have. There is a soccer team that's also interested in using that stadium, and there has been some suggestion that a shared agreement between the soccer team and the Oakland A's could be put together that would allow both to use the ballpark and create a multi-entertainment type facility there that would appease both teams. The thing about that I found completely interesting is this. As we know, because the Oakland A's are a small market team, they get the luxury tax money that other small market teams get from those teams that have to pay the taxes. Well, in Oakland's case, we're talking about $20, $25 million, maybe even more than that, based on what the Mets had to pay last year, what the Yankees will have to pay, what the Dodgers ended up having to pay until they created the Ohtani brilliance. they could have used that money and they could have fixed that ballpark to the point where having to go through this nonsense would have never materialized. Now you're stuck with a team that I think in a year or two has no idea where they're going, because either the ownership group of the Oakland A's messed this up from the get-go, which they may have, or the people in Las Vegas have decided that they just don't want to deal with these people. And so the idea of shifting them back to Oakland makes more sense.
And think this will, situations like this, because this is nothing small. Situations like this have a way of manifesting themselves into the baseball team and into the baseball season, because you've got to hold.
It's going to hold itself into the fan base, who's now going to say, "Well, wait a second, you were going to leave us. Now you're going to stay. So now you want us to buy a product that isn't very good to begin with and wasn't going to be very good. So why are we going to invest money into you unless you are willing to demonstrate to us that A, you want to stay, and B, you want to improve the product?"
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they got to improve the pricing too, because you're not paying $124 for parking spot
No.
in Oakland. You remember that?
No.
You guys remember?
161.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
You got to be
161.
161
higher?
was. You paid $161 a part.
Yes.
Man, they better got my car detail and everything.
Yeah, $161 for a 10-win baseball team.
Just when you think it all figured out, everything was all signed, sealed, and everything. We're going to Vegas, and then, wait a second, we have a problem here, folks. No, we can't use it. So you're going to have a team that nobody supports them, so you're just going to go right back to square one, and nothing gets resolved.
They're going to move. They're going to move the Oakland A's to New Jersey, Louis.
No. We're all leaving the state.
I do wonder what Major League Baseball is going to do here. I suspect that the commissioner is eventually going to get involved in this, because he's going to have to try and find middle ground here, to either allow the A's to go to Vegas or to allow them to stay in Oakland, or do something, because this situation does have to be resolved, because there were too many factors involved here that need to be taken care of one way or the other.
Well, I mean, they talking about two expansion teams. They coming up in the future. I'm not sure which year, but this makes the whole scenario a little interesting, because whoever two doesn't get, whoever's beating for these two expansion teams, whoever doesn't get it, they could adopt the Oakland A's.
I think you've got to get rid of the ownership group in Oakland. I really think that
definitely.
You've got to get rid of these people, because they don't know what they're doing. And unfortunately, because they don't know what they're doing, they've taken a situation that sounded simple back in October and have made it completely complicated, and now manifested itself into a government in Las Vegas that just doesn't want to deal with these people, because I think they've come to realize that they don't know what they're doing.
I want to make a promise. Wait, I want to make a promise. When I win, me, Ralph Garcia, when I win the 2024 presidential election in November, I'm going to make an executive order that is going to be a crime punishable by American laws, imprisonment, harsh, long imprisonment for sports owners that own sports teams, and literally let them sit there like a pair of socks on the foot of your bed, and they do nothing with these teams. They collect all this money, and they do nothing for the fans, nothing for the game, nothing. It should be, I swear to God, an absolute freaking crime for doing that. Listen, you want to be rich, you got all that money, sell the damn baseball team, open up another business.
Exactly.
But stop doing this to the damn sport. John, it's infuriating. It pisses me off. So come on. Well,
no, I agree, and I would think for the fan base in Oakland that they would, I'm sure, feel the same way.
Imagine that, they feel it. Yeah.
Imagine what kind of season ticket sales that they've had for the upcoming season, or for that matter, individual games for this team. I would tend to think that they're going to be playing in a ballpark that's going to be, if not 3/4 empty, maybe even more than that empty as this season begins, because the lack of trust between the fans and the ownership group must be at an all-time high.
And we were talking about earlier about bad teams that know that they take advantage of the scouting and draft and things like that. Oakland doesn't even do that.
No,
They don't do that.
they don't
would
do
They,
anything.
they don't have anybody in the top 10 prospect. How come you've been sucking for so many years?
find the top 10.
Yeah.
Not, I don't even think they in the top 20. They
No.
don't have a prospect in the top 20.
No,
I don't know. I have to check.
No.
They haven't upgraded anything in MLB, so I don't know.
nothing. The owner is pocketing.
So
the money.
you're sucking for this long, and you still can put a minor league system that's reliable, and
Yeah.
no for nothing. I mean, these people they don't need to be running on.
And that's what I
an
say about the
organization
organization. It isn't just the A's. It permeates through the entire organization, through the entire baseball system. That's the Oakland A's, minor leagues, everything. They put nothing into it. Nothing into it. They just let the machine run and run. Put a little bit of oil in, some gas, some water, let it run, and that's it. Like
They've been sucking for so long. They've been so bad for so long that you could easily have at least 6 guys in the top 50.
Sure.
At least, because you're getting draft picks here and there, like there's no tomorrow.
But
so
they're that bad.
What are they doing? No, they pick bad. Yeah,
they're that bad.
And I think part of the reason why they pick bad is because of the lack of caring and the lack of real interest in trying to create something that the fans would be worth going to see, because that's going to create financial obligations that they didn't want to create because they thought they were leaving.
Oh, by the way, Louis, the Oakland A's suck.
No kidding. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure that out.
We got to give that. We got to give that
this is a
mantle to a
team.
new team. Go ahead, Alejandro.
This is a team with a lot of tradition, with a lot of track record. I mean, they like number 2 in the American League and World Series with 9.
Yeah.
Aren't they? What are you doing? Just put something at least decent. At least your minor league or something like that. Just don't screw everything over, man. Because they got it. They need to sell that team.
And by the way, shout out to our friend Jennifer Halligan out in Oakland, who keeps us, well up to date on what goes on in Oakland with the A's. She's a super fan. She's been keeping us up to date as to the plans that have been made in Oakland, basically knowing that it's over. And now let's see what happens. I mean, like John said earlier, if you're a fan, you got to be thinking, you got to be kidding me, right? You're going to break our hearts and you're going to tell us you're leaving. And then what? Because something didn't work out. And John, another thing John said, we could have taken that money and did that stadium some justice. But of course, doing that stadium some justice and still not getting talent is not.
Well, but at least you would have created an environment that might have been worth going to be a part of. I mean, that ballpark is falling apart. It has been falling apart for some time. And
absolutely,
tax money and doing some remodeling to that ballpark would have at least created some interest in wanting to stay there.
So here,
you know what's crazy, guys? I'm just checking the top 100, and the first Oakland Athletic is Jacob Wilson, and it's number 68.
Yeah,
in the prospect rankings. That is incredible.
No surprise.
Wow.
No surprise.
And they don't have a whole lot.
No.
So here in season 9, you guys that watch us all the time know that it's John and I.
That's the only guy.
John and I have the only guy. John and I have always been real big on our college baseball. Alejandro has been doing his thing with college baseball. Alejandro loves baseball. Just that's all. He loves baseball.
Man, I watch KBO. I watch the Mexican League.
He don't care if it's got gloves. If it's got gloves, bats, and balls.
There you go.
Alejandro's watching it, and he should. So, John, the 2024 college baseball season is underway, and top-ranked Wake Forest has a 1-2 punch that if they were actual fists
1, 2, 3. Don't forget
swinging,
Massey. Massey's good.
swinging at your face, John, you would probably be knocked out if they hit you. John, tell me
they've
about
got the best 1-2 starting rotation, I think, in all of college baseball. This team is just absolutely loaded from 1 to 30. However many guys they've got on this roster. They brought back over 500 at bats from last year's team that went to Omaha, and they just continue to reload themselves. And I don't see anybody in the Atlantic Coast Conference that's going to stop them from winning that league. I don't see anybody in the Atlantic Coast Conference that's going to stop them from winning the postseason tournament when it comes up in May. I think this team is going to host a regional, then a super regional, and get back to Omaha and eventually finish what they came very close to doing last year if it hadn't been for Paul Schemes and LSU. Remember that great elimination game that took place in Omaha that I still maintain was the best game in 2023 between Wake Forest and LSU on that Thursday night. Everything revolves around them for the time being. You've already seen plenty of upsets in the first 3 weekends and the first 3 weeks of the season, much like you did last year. The small conferences are doing their thing and getting their wins from time to time. Campbell, East Carolina, Lehigh picked up a couple of wins. UMass this weekend knocked off Virginia down in Charlottesville. Those things are continuing to happen. There is a competitive balance in college baseball that I really do believe is what's creating the interest in the sport that I do think that Major League Baseball needs to seriously consider for their own sport. But college baseball is off to a very good start. It's just a question of whether Wake Forest is that much better from everybody else that's in Division I college baseball.
Yeah, we're going to find out. They maintain, of course, the top ranking in college baseball D1 rankings. They're the top team in the nation, no question about that. Alejandro, your thoughts there on Wake Forest, man? They
look incredible. Every time I look, I follow them in Instagram, and every time I look, they win a game like 10-something, 9-something. It's not only the pitching; it's like they scoring runs like crazy.
Yeah.
LSU is another team that I don't know. I mean, everybody that when I watch a LSU game, you see guys like Stephen Milan, like tiny guys. Tommy White's not a big guy, and they got a spark. They have a spark. They have life. They have fire. And it's incredible for me to watch this because I'm kind of a rookie watching NCAA and I enjoy every minute of it. LSU, Vanderbilt looks like they're going to bounce back this year.
Florida State,
to watch Stanford.
That's going to be a significant player here. A team that's averaging 11 runs a game so far through the first 3 weekends of the season. And Jamie Arnold is pitching very well for them at the top of the rotation. It looks like he's going to be their Friday starter once the ACC season begins. That could be maybe the only team that gives Wake Forest a bit of a challenge in that league. People seem to think Virginia is pretty good. I think the loss to UMass this weekend might have tempered some of that enthusiasm, but still. And again, I think the other part to this is this will be the end of the Pac-12 with what's going to eventually happen to them and the demise of that entire conference and really the demise of that in general. So we'll see what happens to teams like Oregon and Oregon State, who have been very good college baseball programs throughout their time, but now we'll have to and will find new homes. It looks like the Big 12 is kind of loaded this year with some pretty good teams. Kansas State looked pretty good this weekend. It looks like Oklahoma might have some pretty good some talent there as well. The Cincinnati Bearcats have joined that league, and although they may not have nearly as much as everybody else does, they're still going to be a bit of a factor. Central Florida too could be another one that really elevates that league. Again, I think college baseball is really starting to create the kind of competitive balance that fans are interested in seeing. And I think the first 3 weekends of the season have already demonstrated that.
Hey,
John, talking about projection, you think Nick Kurtz is going to go, top 10?
I would think he might even go top 5 if he has a good year.
Imagine him and Harold
I know.
top 10.
I just think
That would be sick.
That would be. And again, you're talking about major league teams who didn't make the playoffs last year that are probably licking their chops over the idea of having a shot.
I would love to see Josh Harold in the Cardinals.
Right. And I think that's
who wouldn't want him on their team?
Exactly. Who wouldn't? And I think what's going to be the interesting sidebar to all of this is the individual players that those teams that didn't make the playoffs last year are going to have the shot to go after. We talked about it last year, how loaded that draft was, and it was a loaded draft. There's no question, both in pitchers and in position players. And as I always said, it was the compensation or the consolation prize for not making the playoffs last year. Although I don't think this draft is going to be as deep as that one was, for some teams still, the consolation prize for not making the postseason is going to be guys like him.
Yeah. And John, the Arkansas Razorbacks move up 3 spots from 5.
Another team that is just loaded with starting pitching.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Listen, Hagan, you brought up Oregon State. Hagan Smith struck out 17 Beavers, man. John, I knew that I watched it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I just wanted to just check it. And I got stuck with this guy. John.
A strike throwing machine from the get-go. I mean, this kid understands the value of strike one, and he was just pumping strike one all game.
Man.
I don't think that kid was with a 3-ball count for the entire time he was out there. I don't think he did it. If he did, it was only twice. I mean, he was 1-2, 0-2, 0-1 his entire outing. It was ridiculous what he was doing. And again, it just demonstrates the depth that college baseball is starting to create from one side of the country to the other side of the country.
And we're talking about an Oregon State Beaver team that has they have an offense.
Yes.
That's a team that has an offense.
Yes, they have an offense, yes.
And he mowed them down. I love the reaction, John. You put your hands in your face like, holy crap, Robert. It was unbelievable.
It was. It was.
Sound like it.
So, before we get out of here on the college baseball, just want to run through, of course, Wake Forest. Ranked the top team in the country. Arkansas, again, moved up 3 spots from 5 to 2. LSU dropped from 2 to 3. TCU dropped from 3 to 4. And some of the talk in some of the polls, they had a hard time with Arkansas, LSU, TCU, who should be TCU, man. A pretty good baseball team, John.
Yes, it does. They have a pretty good baseball team. And again, a lot of these teams are taking advantage of the Northeast teams that are going through states like Texas and Louisiana and so forth, trying to get their seasons underway so that when they come back north, they'll be in a better position than they were when they left. Some schools are beginning spring break up here, and so they're taking advantage of the week that they're going to have off from classes to be able to go to these places and get some games in. Unfortunately, they're going to take beatings, no question about it. But it's just a necessary evil to be able to go back north and be ready for the rest of your season, especially your conference season. So some of these records that you're seeing from the top 5, top 10, even top 15 teams are kind of inflated based on whom they've been playing.
Florida is at 6. Oregon State. Florida is at 5. Oregon State at 6. Texas A&M 7. Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Yes, they are in the top 10. Tennessee at number 8.
Tell you what, Tennessee's got a very interesting midweek game this week with Kansas State that'll be played in Tennessee. In fact, it's an interesting week for Kansas State because they'll go to Tennessee on Tuesday and then they play Clemson on Wednesday. You're going to find out an awful lot about Kansas State in those 2 particular games. And maybe even find out something about Tennessee too in that Tuesday night game. But there are some interesting midweek games that are about to materialize that I think will say a lot about what the top 25 looks like, and that, for that matter, who could be the top 8 teams that eventually get regionals once we get to May.
Before, as we close out college baseball, John, I don't want to forget the number 10 team in the country, the Blue Devils of Duke, whose bats have been working very well early this season. They just scored 20 runs in a game. Things are going well in Duke right now.
Yeah, the Duke Blue Devils have kind of figured it out. I mean, we've always thought of this school as a basketball-only school, but that has definitely changed. They're not a basketball-only school anymore. This Blue Devil team is pretty good, and I do think that if given the opportunity come May, they're going to make some noise. I'm not sure they're an Omaha-type team, but they're certainly a team that can do some damage in a regional.
No, they're one of those teams that they say in college basketball is on the bubble.
Right, they're on the bubble. Yeah, I would agree. They're on the bubble. Yep.
So that's the 2024 college baseball season. That is also episode number 1 of the 2024 season on In the Batter's Box. As always, before we leave the show, I always like to search the minds of the crew and ask them, as I always do, Louis Tanoa. Louis!
Yes.
Final thoughts.
It's actually more of a personal note because it's not to do with baseball, but it is a personal note. As yesterday, I celebrated number 300 of hosting my show. So it's more of a personal
congratulations, man.
Yes. 6 years as host of the show and still at it. 300
John,
shows.
I have no idea how many episodes we've done.
No, I haven't kept count either, so I have no idea.
And think
I was
about
here
it.
from the beginning, so.
Yeah. Think about it. When John and I started all of this, we had like freaking 10 podcasts, as many as sometimes 12, 15 podcasts.
We may have had too many.
Yeah. we had too many. Alejandro, final thoughts.
No, I'm just looking forward to see spring training. Who makes it? Who doesn't? There's a lot of team with talent there, except for the Oakland A. Just excited. The baseball is around the corner, man.
Absolutely. John, final thoughts.
Look, my final thoughts are these unsigned free agents, where they end up and what they end up signing for, and how that affects both 25 and 40-man rosters that have already been finalized for the most part, how that's going to change the dynamic of these rosters as we go into what will eventually become the second half of spring training. Remember, the Dodgers and the Padres are going to be the first ones to leave because of their Korean series on the 21st and 22nd, I believe. Everybody is done with training camp on March 25th, the last Sunday of the month, because the season will begin on Easter weekend this year. So there's not much time for these free agents that are unsigned to find a home. And I do think that some of these guys are just going to have to bite the pill here and just take a deal that they're not going to like just to get themselves in camp and get going.
Yeah. And my final thoughts center around something that happens almost every year. There's always this one team that starts off the season hot. There's always that one team that we thought, hey, and usually for the most part they'll fall off. But I want to see who that is. I want to see. You can't help but wait to see how the Ohtani dynamic plays out in Los Angeles. Again, here's a team that
they're gonna win 100 games.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Here, you know that. And I was going to say,
they have won 100 games for the last 20 years.
Exactly. And here's a team on paper. If you look at their team on paper, it's a what you call a nuclear bomb. It's ridiculous what the Los Angeles. But Louis, as I've always asked you the last 7 years, Louis, please tell everybody who is the only team that can beat the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Very simple, the Dodgers themselves.
And the fact that they've gone 1-6 in the last two postseasons is hard to fathom based
It
on
is.
the rosters that they put together.
Unbelievable.
they do so well in the regular season. Then what happens when the postseason comes? They just choke.
Well, I mean, they added some talent. Not only Otani, they added Tyler Glass now. They
Okay,
added Yamamoto.
now you got to win
There's
a
some
World
guys
Series.
Yeah,
Papi,
you do.
Bueller is coming
You
back.
got to win a World Series.
Oh, they have to. I mean, the pressure.
You have to
the
win the
ball's on
World
court.
Series.
I
Definitely.
gotta think that getting access to tickets for the LA Dodgers for this year must be a tremendous task to be able to finalize, because once Otani got signed, I would think that sales of their games went through the roof.
Yeah, most likely.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
And the other part of it is the merchandising part to this. I mean, to be quite honest about it, Otani's deal is going to be taken care of by the merchandising sales that they're going to make from his jersey.
Yep, there you have it,
Yep.
folks. First episode of the season in the batter's box. First and foremost, please remember the website. It is ndscsports.com, where you catch all of your current content. This is In the Batter's Box, the NDSC Sports Weekly Baseball Show. I'm your host, Ralph Garcia, joined by, of course, my co-host, as I do each year, Alejandro Louis. I can't say Louis. I just Louis sounds. Yeah, Louis sounds so formal. And of course, my friend and partner John Doucette. From John and I, we absolutely appreciate all of you continuing to join us all these years to talk some baseball. So you guys have a great night, and hey, we're back. Thank you for joining us this evening, folks. Play ball!
I was getting my second choice to start for the introduction.